All right, welcome everybody. Let's go ahead and get started here.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I have just returned from React Rally out in beautiful Park City, Utah. And we thought it would be a great time to follow that up with talking about how we can use Tabnine with React. Yeah, and so we're going to go through that today. We have everybody's favorite marketer, Amaya, back with us. And we're going to go through a few slides just to kind of do an overview, and then we got some demos that we can do. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to throw those into the chat, and we'll answer them live, just to prove that we are live. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm going to be going over kind of some basic stuff, but if you have any questions for stuff more advanced, I'd love to dig into that. So just ask in the chat. All right. Welcome to Harnessing AI to Rev Up React.
Cool. A little bit about
this is your favorite slide. Would you like to go over this?
Sure. A little bit about Tabnine in case it's the first time you're with us today. We're the original AI coding assistant, launched our first model in 2017. Since then, we've got over 1 million users across thousands of companies. And with the latest iteration of the Tabnine protected model, we now support over 600 programming libraries, languages, and frameworks. So that's up from 80. We're, of course, supporting all major IDEs, and you can deploy us anywhere you like, privately, on-prem, SaaS, VPC, air-gapped. So here's what we'll show you today: how to future-proof your AI investment with switchable large language models, how context AI agents and LLMs work together to optimize the AI recommendations that Tabnine generates for you. And then Adrian's going to dive into a live demo of React and show you how to improve your code quality with AI while developing React applications. So historically, when an engineering team picked an AI coding assistant, they got locked into both the underlying model that the AI coding assistant came with, as well as the application. But historically, what's happened there is a lot of engineering teams have different requirements than any of the parameters used in any single model. And they had different performance requirements. So that's why we introduced the switchable models feature in Tabnine. And what that lets you do is swap between, I believe we're at 8 models now from leading providers to power your Tabnine chat experience. And you can use any model you like. All the models are included on our Pro tier. And depending on how you're deploying on Enterprise, some of the models are available for on-premise deployments, other ones are only available for SaaS. And of course, if you're an Enterprise customer and you've got your own API endpoint for a model, we can connect your Tabnine instance to that as well. And one of the reasons that we did this is that we really believe that the future of LLMs is SLMs. So as more and more time goes on, we're going to see a movement in this space to small language models that are language specific even, and that are going to be really tailored to specific code use cases. And we want to make sure that our customers had access to all the greatest and latest AI innovations as soon as they came out. And you're probably wondering, like, how do you determine which model is performant? What really unlocks the performance of any underlying model? Well, it's not the model size. It's not really the context window either. It's actually a combination of 3 things. It's AI agents in your workflow, plus the context that you add in, plus the underlying model. So I'll walk you through how we do that at Tabnine. So first off, you have complete model flexibility for any use case or project you're working on. So you can choose between Tabnine Protected, CodeStrawl, our proprietary model with Tabnine and Mistral, Claude 3.5 Sonnet, Command R, and GPT-4 optimized. Now, when you're picking these, on our last Tabnine Live, we showed some interesting statistics from our user population on model performance by use case. And I believe Claude 3.5 was the best at unit testing and documentation. But really an important thing to consider is your privacy and security requirements, right? So if you're working on anything that is really critical code for your organization that you do not want to risk exposing publicly at all, our recommendation is using the Tabnine protected model. So the next thing that we layer on top of the model are our AI agents. And we've developed a series of AI agents to accelerate the full software development lifecycle. And you can access all of those through the chat window right in your IDE. We've taken care of the prompt engineering on the back end for you. and optimize the performance for every task. But you can use Tabnine to, as you're coming into a project, asking it general coding questions to better understand the code, searching your code base. You can use natural language to generate code based on your design specs. You can also use our code completions, which is your standard inline code completions there. Fits right nicely into your workflow. You can use Tabnine to create tests for your code. We've got a new testing agent we just released that Adrian's going to show some test-driven development with later, which is something we're pretty excited about. And of course, you can use Tabnine to fix errors and document, as well as explain and make your code more maintainable. So if you're refactoring and things like that. The last layer we add on is personalization. So there's 4 levels of personalization available today. And the outcome that we're working towards here for your team is to get Tabnine to perform and write code recommendations that are akin to an experienced engineer on your team, rather than an engineer you might have just hired off the street. And there's 4 ways that we do that. The first one is local context awareness. That happens right in your IDE, and that makes the AI model aware of your code, your files, your workspace, anything you're working on in your workspace. The next level is connection. So you can use any Git-based repo, Elastic, Bitbucket, GitHub, GitLab, and you can connect Tabnine to specific repos in your organization to pull even more context from the code that you've already written. And then coming pretty soon is coaching, and you're going to be able to provide Tabnine direct guidance on code practices and guardrails for your team. It should help a lot with accelerating code review and ensuring the quality and security of your code. And finally, what's only available on the enterprise tier is model customization and fine tuning. So where that really comes in is if you're writing in a language that is poorly documented in the open source libraries. So for example, if you're writing in like System Verilog or VHDL, things like that, fine tuning a custom model on your code that of course remains completely private is gonna give you that next lift in performance that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and get on into the demos here for React. Pass it off to Adrian.
All right. Exciting stuff. Okay. So let's go ahead and, do I move the slide or you move? Awesome. So for this demo, we're just going to go over Code Explorer. This is formerly known as Onboarding Agent, but very quickly, hold on, I'm in the wrong place in my notes. Yeah, so let's just go over to my screen at the stage. All right. Oh, you know what? I should, hold on, let me change the color theme real quick. So let's go to light night mode. That's probably, that didn't change though. Awesome. All right, you know what? Let's go back. It's nice day after a long conference. Anyway, so over here in the cloud, in our chat, I'm open to my little remix demo. This is what I use to demo Prisma. It's what I use to demo different React things. But if you were new to it and you wanted to learn more about it, we have this explore code base feature. So you can click the little item right here, or you can type it with the / command of code explain, and you can even just select it from here. So what that's going to do is it's going to go into our project. It's going to look at things like the package.json. It's going to look at any README files. And it's going to pull information and give you back a summary of the project. So you can see here, this is, welcome to this exciting project. So I created this based off a template, a remix invite template. So it's going to tell you things about that. It's going to give you a quick overview. It's going to tell you how to start contributing. These are things that it's getting from like contributing, Markdown, README Markdown, things like that. And then it also prompts you for other questions if you want to ask more things about it. So you can start asking about different things like, where do we add a to-do item? It says, great question. To add a to-do item to this project, you'll want to focus on the app routes protected to-dos new.txx file. and it even gives you a little information, tells you about the command that's needed to create it in Prisma, and some other information. So yeah. Somebody just asked if this session is recorded, and yes, it will be recorded and available on our YouTube after. But if you wanted to ask more questions about it, that's really the code exploration feature. Not specific to React, but any of the projects that you work in. So check it out. Now, so shall we go on to the next one? The next one is explain and document. Awesome. So we'll go back over to my screen here, and I'm just going to start with a new conversation. There's, similarly to the exploring the code base, there might be certain pieces of code that you don't understand. Maybe you are new to Remix, right? You started at a company or you started on a new project using Remix, and you come across this error boundary. And inside it, there is this default error boundary. No, is this event canceled? No, it should be happening. You come across this component that's a default error boundary. You've never seen it before. It's not documented. So what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight it, and then we can go over to the chat. There's different ways that we can do it. We can hit explain in the code lens if you're using VS Code or a JetBrains IDE. We also have this little command over here, and there's also a / command for explain code. So I'm just going to click explain over here, and it's going to do its thing. Certainly, let's break down the selected code and explain its functionality. So first, it tells you that it is a default error boundary component. It tells you what's being used. So it's from Remix. And then lots of different things, and then a nice little summary. So this error boundary provides a user-friendly error message for production environments while also offering detailed debugging information in development environments. It's designed to handle both route-specific errors and general application errors in Remix application. So there we know a little bit more about that. And if you wanted to go a bit further, you could actually have it document it. So I'm just going to say document this function and include inline comments. Yes, this should work for any programming language. So just today we're working with React. So you can see here that it's put in, and I'm going to click this. So you should be able to show the diff. Oh, good. This one looks good. So you can see all the pieces that it put in. So it gives you a nice summary at the top of what it is. And then we've got nice inline comments for each of the things. So check to see if the error is a route error expression, and then going on. So it's all nicely documented. And if I was happy with that, because I have this highlighted, I could just hit insert. I think I might be getting a beta feature in here. Sorry. Let's hit insert. Yeah, sorry. It's because I had the diff on. But now the function is nicely documented for future people to come in and see exactly what that is. So nothing too big here. These are things that are available for all languages, for all types of projects. Just the ability to explain a function or a piece of code, and then also document it as well, using whatever the documenting style is. And so we'll go on to the next one here. This one's going to be a little fun, and you know what? We might even have Amaya join us for part of it. So we are going to generate a component, and let me get this set up. New conversation. Nope. We need to have you like break out your guitar for like these little like in between times where I'm setting things up. Cool. Hopefully this won't be too bad on the view. So let's go. Oh, good. You see it. All right. So we are working with a to-do app, which is like the hello world of web applications. Yeah, I'm using it to show off things with Prisma, things like that. But as you can see, we're kind of missing a component. And if we go and we look at this, and I can get to this by just saying, where do we display the to-do items for a user? And it tells us that we're going to be looking in the app routes protected to-dos index. So Remix uses file-based routing. And so that's why you see kind of the underscores and the pluses in the thing. But it even kind of goes, it tells you everything about it. But well, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click, and I think it's this one. Yeah. And so that pulls up that file. So let me dismiss this for a little bit. And here it is. So this is our default component. This is the one that we're looking at now. So if I was to say, hello. All right, so we're updating here. And if we take a look, we are going through the information that we're getting back from Prisma. But right now, we're just spitting out a very simple div. It's not even an LI. So bad me for doing that. So we're just mapping over to to-dos and just putting out the title. What we want to do is we want to create a component to kind of have a more rich looking interface for that. And so we can do that with Tabnine by creating having it create a component by using text. So okay, so let's go over back to the chat, make that a little bigger. Wow. Oh, there it is. And we'll start by saying, so I'm on this page here, and I'm going to say, create a to-do component that takes a Prisma to-do, come on, item from the database and displays it. When the checkbox is checked, update the item in the database using Prisma. So let's see what that gives us. And because of the context that we talked about, it knows that we're using Remix. It knows that we're using React. It knows the different libraries that we're using. And so it brings out something pretty relative. So let's let it do this. Okay, so certainly I'll create a to-do item component that displays a Prisma to-do item and updates its status in the database when the checkbox is checked. Cool. Exactly what we asked it to do. And it is using the components. So in this application, I went ahead and who here is using the Shad CN UI components? They've gotten pretty popular. So I've installed those into this project. It knew it, and so it chose to use these components as well. So you can see checkbox, label, badge. Oh, it picked up the category. I hope it's not actually just picking up. Okay, good. It doesn't exist. I'm always afraid when I do live demos of the AI that I've like left in something that I've already done and it's just pulling from it. So kind of cheating, but no, it did this itself. So it knew that our tabs, that our to-dos have categories. And so it went ahead and put that in. So just kind of taking a look at this component here, we've got an LI, so that's great. It's being styled with Tailwind, so it saw that we have Tailwind installed, and so it did that. Cool. So let's go over. We are going to need to create, I think it's even going to tell us step by step. So make sure to create a new file for the to-do item component. and it suggests app components to do item. And I think that's pretty good. So let's do that. So come over here, component, new file, to do item. And with that open, we'll go back to our chat, and I'm just going to go down here and tell it to insert it. So that's good. This is not a lot of space right here, but everything seems to be in the blue. It says, now let's update the to-dos component to use the new to-do item. Oh, yeah, the new to-do item component. And so it even gives you what we need to do, what we need to change in our original index file. So here is our to-dos component that it's talking about to make that happen. And so, like, I think if we even show diff, it's basically this change number 2 that we need to insert. So what I will do is I'm going to copy this out, and I'm going to replace it right here. It might complain for a short moment. So it's going to complain because I haven't imported to do, but I'll just use my regular flow to say, add that import. What else is it upset about? Okay. So here is another fun thing. Whenever you're passing dates from the server to the client, they get turned into strings, right? And so because it used the Prisma type to make the component, it's expecting that we pass the dates in as actual dates. So what I can do is say, I'm just going to go over here to the chat, and I'm going to start a new thing and say, how can I resolve this error? So it goes through and it describes what the error is. And then it even goes, so here's how you can modify your code to resolve the error. So what it's doing is it's spreading the to-dos, it's pulling out these dates, and then just wrapping them with new date. And then it's doing the same thing with categories. But that is kind of going above and beyond because we're not using those dates in the category. So I'm going to just copy, I'm going to copy this stuff out, and then I'll change it. So let's hide this for a moment. And so this to do is now going to look like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out this piece because we're not going to be working with the categories in this, the dates associated with the categories in this. I think it's right there. Did I miss one? Maybe it's this. There we go. So I'll hit save. Oh, look at this. It's already updating. Isn't that nice? So good. We created it using using our voice, using natural language. And I believe there's one more thing that needs to be done. Oh, no, it's right here. So whenever this action hits, that action's already in. So the form will submit and it will know to update the thing. So let's go ahead and click it. So I'm going to click Alice's third to do here as complete. It's reordered them and it marked it as done. And just to make sure that it persisted in the database, let's go ahead and refresh. I'll go to home. I'll go to to-dos, and it's persisted. So we did it. And now for a little fun with Amaya. Amaya, look at this. If you were the project manager, is there anything that you would like to add to this? Is there any requirement you would like to add?
How complicated do we want to get here?
I mean, you can say something like the title should be in red, or I mean, we're limited time, but if there's like any display issues, basically, because we're working with a component.
Yeah. Can we get a calendar view, maybe?
Okay, that's a
Too much.
that's
Okay.
a little
Okay.
too big. Like on the individual layer. So like think about this. Sorry, I didn't prep him before this. This is just a surprise.
Yeah. Maybe we want to add on like an additional user on the to do, so it's multiple people that have to do it. That's probably too much as well.
Yeah,
Um,
just something changing the display.
okay.
So
Okay.
so like we have all of these different items here. Like, do you want the do you want the font size to be bigger on the title? Do you want the title color to be different? Do you want
Can we maybe do like a rectangular green or green highlight on the completed to do, or some sort of like highlight on it that it's done?
okay, let's see. So I'm going to be on this page. So this is the component we're working on. This puts all of this into context because it's the open tab. And so I'm going to say,
Hold on, we got a request from the audience. Let's make the
oh,
title font
okay, cool.
dark blue. Love that. You guys tell us what you want to see.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay. So let's say refactor this component. So the to-do title is dark blue. Certainly, I'll refactor. So here we go. So in this refactored version, I've made the following change. Modified the class name for the label component. And so it's gray if there's a line through it, and it's blue 800 if the yeah, otherwise. So great. So I'm just gonna go all and insert and save, and there we go. Nice. Let's do Amaya's because I think that's really cool. So if we want to highlight the completed ones in green. Okay, so let's say refactor this component so that completed items are highlighted in green in a green box. Let's see what that will do. So it's all about like the prompts that you make. So I'm kind of interested to see like what it's going to make change. Okay, certainly I'll refactor the component to highlight the completed item with a green box. Here's the modified version. So here's all of the code. And so here's what we've done. If so they've updated the li class that contains the whole item. And so they added if the to-do is completed, the background's going to be green, it's going to be rounded, and it's going to have a nice, okay, so that's what it's doing. So let's go, and I'm just going to say, oop. What I did was close my IDE. Hold on. Nope. Bear with me. I hit Command Q apparently. Well, that's on the wrong side. There we go. Make that smaller. Did it save it or did I? Okay, so Control A. Let's go back over. I lost it. Okay, so let's do it again. Refactor this component so that completed items are highlighted in a green box. I believe that's what we said.
And it's picking up your context from your cursor placement selection there, right? That's why you selected the
Oh, I
label
haven't
right on
selected
there.
it. I haven't selected anything, or I guess I did, but it should be the context that really matters here is the whole function. So it looks like it looks like this time I decided to add another change with the size. So we're gonna insert it, and there you go. Look at that. So let's click another one. Let's unclick it. Nice. So we were able to make those changes all just by asking the AI to do it. Fairly simple. So if you think of a well-formed ticket, like with a well thought out task, you could just basically implement the ticket, and that's kind of where we are going in the future, where we'll just be able to bring the Jira ticket directly in and say implement this ticket. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know how that was going to end up looking.
Yeah, that was neat to see. This is good because Arjun had a question on if Tabnine can be used to generate test cases for React. So I think
Yes, it actually really loves Jest. I have had a little bit of problems, but since we've redone the way context work, it's been better because I use Vitest or Vtest, and it's very Jest-like. So like whenever I first started and was trying to get it to generate tests, it would try to generate them with Jest because that was the more popular way to test like React and TypeScript, and now it's actually doing really well. So let me modify my screen here a little bit, and we'll get into some testing. So I'm going to clear my conversation, and I'm going to go to the unit tests. Okay. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to go on my screen here. We're back to just this. We're going to look at generating tests. And normally I pick something like the input, but we're going to try something different. And we're going to try to write tests for the component that we just created. So this will be fun. Oh, let's restart the extensions real quick. So we're going to go in, and I close it. I guess I shouldn't have. And we're going to open up our to-do item. And for this time, this is something new. It was recently released. This is our updated test agent. So we're going to go into Tabnine AI. We're going to go into our test agent, which is the little, I think it's an Erlenmeyer flask to be specific. And so we're ready to test the code. So what we'll do is we'll start by selecting our function, and the function that we're going to select is our exported component, because components are just functions. And so I'm going to highlight all of that, and then I'm going to say generate test plan for code. And so it's going to remind us again to select what we want. I'm already done it. So there's two ways you can do this. If you already have a test file created, since we just created the component, we're not going to have that. So I'm going to say I don't have one, and you're going to get prompted for a new one. So I'm going to keep my test files in line with my components. And so you can see that it's putting it in my demo project, in my components folder, in this. And what's nice is it will actually create that file for you. So it's not like going to give you a task to go create that file. So we're going to continue. As you can see, we've already created this file. It's generating the test plan right now, and I'm using Claude 3.5 Sonnet to do that. So it's generated a test plan. Now it's generating the test template file. So this is going to be kind of the scaffolding for the testing file. If you already have one, it's going to try to use that. Again, context working for you. So here we've got our first, oh, this is nice. This is actually better than the one I was going to test. So it scaffolded out a test for us. One thing it didn't do is add the imports. So I'm just going to add that for describe. You can see that it mocked out a to-do. So because this component uses a to-do item, it went ahead and mocked out one. So we've got our dates, we got our categories, everything we need to display it. So that's nice. And so now we can just kind of go down and look at what we need to do. So should render the to-do item correctly with all its properties. That sounds like a good test to have. So we'll click on that. We'll have it generate the test. And let me make this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Oh, that's really big. So it should render the do item correctly with all its properties. All right. So it did create another const, which is interesting. But let's go ahead and put it in here. So I'm going to put the cursor where I want it to go, and I'm going to hit insert. The expect needs to be brought in. So let's do that. The it needs to be brought in, so we can do that. These are just regular flow things. So as I'm doing that, it's updating my imports. It recreated the to do, which might not be a bad idea. What do we got here? The expected type comes from property to do, which is declared here. Oh, the property types of created at are type string is not assignable to date. Oh. So it didn't do this one as well as it did that one, but we can figure this out. I think what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this one since we have a global one. And let's see. So what's the problem here? String is not to date. Oh, why is it doing that? Okay. Let's just get rid of those. All right. So we have this. We could run it, and it did not pass. I love doing these live. What do we got here? Use submit must be used within the data router. Okay, so that is an issue with oh, are we using React testing library? Yeah, we are. The render. Okay, so that one's interesting. Let's that's the other thing about doing something that's like, you know, not scripted beforehand. So it has to do with the fact that we're using the Remix framework, and it didn't quite do it right. So let me remove this, and we'll go back to the go back. Okay. Okay. So here, it should render the two correctly. So obviously this didn't work in the first time. So I'm going to go back and describe how you modify this test. Can you update this test to handle the use submit from the Remix framework? So it's going to regenerate the test. So what do we got? Fire event, Remix browser. So the Remix browser, I believe, is the key here, because that is the router that we're going to be using. So check all of that. Let's also say to do dates should be date objects, not strings. Again, like if it doesn't do it perfect the first time, like it's not always going to do that, just continue having the conversation with it if things look weird. So here we can say, yeah, so now they've actually created dates. I All right, so let's go back down here. I'm just, since it created it again, I don't think we need to have one of these globally. I appreciate them trying to help me out, but we're going to not use it. So we're now inside of the describe, and I'm going to insert this. Again, we need to put back, oops, what did I do? Oh, I went to some kind of search. That's not what I wanted. Update from by test. And, oh, and then it put these imports into the run place. Oh my gosh. Let's do this. Remove that one. And remove this. Okay. Well, let's find little errors here. Oh, so it's using just. I missed that. Okay. We probably need to pull that in. No?
I was hoping you were going to use the fixed code agent here.
I mean, that is what I used, isn't it? Yeah, because I did fix with Tabnine.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
So I was just calling out.
Oh, you were hoping I did. Oh, well, there you go. I use that a lot, actually. I've told myself to like stop going out to Google. And so I just try to do everything in the chat. And so if I get an error, I just highlight it and say, well, what is this? And it's like just a few seconds left, less of like brain energy. To fix this error in the code box, you need to modify component usage. Okay. Well, I might have made this one a little more complicated because it's using React, or it's using Remix. If I would have like behind the scenes did another component and like tested it out, it would have used that context and done it correctly. So I don't want to waste too much time on this. This was probably just like not the best one to test. Let's close this, and just so you can see things working. Let's do the original one, and we'll go to the input here. And so that's highlighted. Let's go, not to testing, go back over, new test plan, and let's just generate some tests for this one. So generate a test plan for your code, continue. I don't have a test file. Again, it's going to create the test file that goes right next to it. Awesome. And so like it already has the context from the one that you, the what we highlighted over there, and so it gets you started in this test. Okay, so cool. So let's just do one. Should render an input field with the provided class name. So we'll generate that test. Like while we're doing that, let's add that import. It would be nice if it added those. Let's put our cursor in the right place, insert that. We're going to need update by test. It's going to bring in render from React testing library. It's going to bring in update the import. Where's defining that? Thank you. I'm glad it's amazing. Or I'm glad you think it's amazing. We're getting there. What is this? It's not on property screen. Okay, so I'm just going to say quick fix with Tabnine. Okay, yeah. Oh, so my problem was I thought that I think there is a global called screen that was messing me up. So we just hadn't imported it yet. So there we go. And now we can just go ahead and say, run these tests, and these run. That's great. Just to kind of go one step further, let's add another test. What's a fun test here? Let's see. Yeah, import screen. Thank you for that. Here's a fun one. I don't know if this is gonna. I hope this works. Should forward the ref to the underlying input element. So let's go ahead and insert that one. Everything looks good. I'm going to run it, and that test runs. But you might notice here that if I run all the tests, oh, it still runs. Okay. Good. Yeah. So that one's working. The difference with the other one is kind of special ways that you test things that are like inside of the Remix framework, and I'm going to have to look a little further into that. But that is generating a unit test. And so the next one that we're going to do is test-driven development component generation. So again, let me prepare my screen here just by clearing out all of the stuff. So this is just going to use the regular chat. So this isn't really part of the test agent, because that does testing after the fact, and we're going to switch to writing tests before we even have the function to test it. So test-driven development. So let's go to this stage here. And so what I'm going to do is we have a counter.test. And oh, I deleted the wrong stuff. Hold on. Okay. Give me 1 second and I can go, go get that. So what do you think so far? Is there anything that you have not seen? I think this is the last demo before we do something that's kind of fun with generative AI.
Yeah, Janith, Barry, and Jacob, let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything you want to see.
Let's see. So we're on, that's the main app components. Yeah. There we go. Okay, so we should have started with tests. And full transparency, I got this from the React testing library. So here we have a whole bunch of tests. If we run these, you'll see, well, they don't work, right? I feel like this should all be inside of a describe. I might have forgot to do all that too. Okay, go away. It didn't work. So basically, because there is no component, or the component that we have, just so there's no like red lines, is it just returns a div that says counter, right? But that's not the right thing. So what we want to do with this page in context, we can go over to our chat and say, make sure I get this right. Yeah. So we're going to say create a component that passes these tests, right? So we've gone through the process of writing all of these. So we want to make sure the count starts with 0. Clicking on a button and it increases the counter. The title of the window changes, etc. And so it's going to look at everything that's on this page, all of these tests, and hopefully brings back one that works. All right. Cool. So let's take a look at it. Here is a counter. So it's making a functional component. It's using state to keep track of the count. It's using state to keep track of the display title. It's using a use effect to update the title. And we are handling the increment. So we have a div here with how many times it was clicked, etc. So let's go over and replace what we have here with this. And then I think what we need is to put this counter somewhere. So let's go and find a page. Because I don't think I created a page for it. We're just going to go to home. And underneath this link, we're going to say counter and pull in that counter. I don't think, does it have any properties? No, it doesn't have any properties. So let's go to the home. So here's the counter increment check. Where's the button? Okay, so as you can see, it's not styled. So that's not very nice looking. Let's put this side by side. So we might have a little work to do, and that's where we can do kind of fun things. Like what we did in the last time, where it generated all the functionality. I think it's like, oh, there it is. So it's working, right? We're incrementing it. It's changing the title of My Awesome App. Let's change it to, there we go. Now it's the number of clicks is 4. And you see that that's updating, but it's not very pretty. So let's go back. We're in this file, and let's just do something very simple. We can say, I'll start a new conversation, refactor this component to be styled using Tailwind. So here we go. You can already see that we got some flex boxes. I know it's at this size, it's really difficult to see. Let's go down a little bit. So what I'm going to do, oh, and it even tells you in this refactored version, I've made the following changes. The main div container now has Tailwind classes. The count display has been styled. The increment button now has padding, background color, yada, yada, yada. So let's just insert all of this in the counter. Did it not auto-re? Ooh, that looks better, doesn't it? So now we can go and we can increment it. We can make it say this. But notice it's just using a regular button. So let's go ahead and try to get it to use refactor this to use a shad cn button and label. And so here we go. Certainly, again, I'm just going to, yep. Also, here's a tip. If you don't care about any of the explanation, you can always say show only code, and then it won't bring all that out. So I like to see it on occasion, so I leave it in. So insert, save, and now you can see that it changed just a little bit. It's using the shad cn styles for the button and the label. And it's also using the checkbox. I don't think I told it to do that, but I'm glad that it did. Yeah, so that's that. And we created that component straight from a testing, from tests. Now, if you would have added more tests to like check for these different styles, it would have put those in as well. I just didn't do that ahead of time. But it does give you an idea. Okay, so the last one, I know we're coming up on time, and I completely forgot to open these files. So this one's really fun. This is based on something that my friend Avi did. And so give me just a second to, again, redo my screen. Oh, of course it's, okay. How are we doing? How was the testing part? Trying to fill time as I open these things. What do you think, Amaya? Are you ready to go out and build your own website now?
I think I need you to coach me up a bit more on how to write code. I got a calculator last time we did it. Pretty proud of myself about that, but definitely in the toddler learning to walk stages of my software development skill set.
Yeah, we'll get you there. Okay. So this is all inspired by this thing here. So let me go. So this is, my friend is the creator of Parcel. And one of the things he did was added a tool for his users that creates a placeholder image generator. And this actually uses an open source API to do it. And he was like, yeah, I just, I told the AI to build it for me. And so it's basically using fake image. It said, fake images, please. And it tells you all about the different parameters that you can use to create a fake image. And he just basically had it create a form that would generate it for it. And so what you can do is, if we look at the how to use in the README doc, I can just copy that out. Not set up your instance. Yeah, I'm just going to copy all of the to-do, the how-to. And I'm going to go back over here and let's create a new page. So I'm going to go into the routes here. New, or we'll just call it generate.tsx. I'm going to go over to my chat. I'm going to start a new one. And I'm going to say, here is how you use, what is this thing called? Fake image. And then I'm just going to paste in that whole file. And then I'm going to say, or I think I can. So your chat context is also, your chat is also your context. What is this? Is it just doing it for me? So yeah, thank you for providing me information about fake image. It's a useful tool for generating placeholders. In the context of we're working on, we don't have any direct integration. Okay, so now that it has that context, I can say create a form that will generate a fake image, display a preview image as the form is completed. Add a copy button at the bottom that will save the generated URL to the clipboard. Use Tailwind to style it. All right, let's see what it does. So it creates the component. So here's the fake image generator. We've got a bunch of state happening. We've got a use effect. So whenever any of this state changes, it's going to set the image URL. And then we've got a div with a form. All right, so let's do this. I'm just gonna put the component and the page in the same place. So I only need this much. I'm gonna make sure that this does not export default. Let's see what's going on here. Promises must be awaited. Oh, okay. So this is, I think this is a TypeScript thing. So we just quick fix, add void. Okay. And now we're good. Cool. So let's see what it looks like just after that, right? So all I did was I took the instructions for the API, put it into the chat, and then asked it to create the form. So let's go over here, and I believe I called it generate. Look at that. So now let's change it. Let's see, 0066 777. I don't know what color that is, but oh, there we go. So it's changing the text. Hello, Amaya. Let's make it square. Yeah. It's missing a couple things. So sometimes, like whenever I do it, I will actually put in like a drop down for like what font. But this was just like let's say that it's like 80% there. And it even made it look pretty nice. So let's see if this works. Copy image URL, copy, go to a new one. And there's our placeholder image. So that's a fun little example where, given the API, we can just easily have it generate a form. And I feel like most of what I do is generating forms, right? So you could even go as far as like whenever we were doing the to-dos, I already have it generated. But the way I did it is I just said, generate me a form that that creates a new to-do item. And use conform, because that's the validation library I use. And it got me like 90% there. There's some updates due to like the newest version of the conform library. But I've been very happy with like its ability to generate like 90% of my code, right? And then it's kind of, sometimes it's pixel pushing. Sometimes like, maybe we want the fake image generator to be in a different font. But like the functionality is there. And so then you just have to finish it out. So that's a fun example that I like to do when working with the chat and what's it called? And React. I just had a pleasant experience with the test implementation dance, starting with a basic React to-do app with some tests. Prompt refactor the test to be accessible, to use accessible locators. Yes. That's another great thing that I've been using the chat for. So you spend all this time creating a component, but you can highlight it and say like, is this accessible? And it will point out the places. You can have it update it so it will be. This is going in the opposite way. So you're updating the test to test for accessibility. Accessibility is important, and I love that generative AI is helping us out to get all that right.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a first. Someone using Tabnine while they're on Tabnine Live, that isn't us. So
yeah. Oh,
nice work,
awesome.
Barry.
Yeah. Okay, and so that was the last demo. So we can go back to the presentation and wrap it up. We're making pretty good time this time.
Yeah, 12 minutes under our usual end time of hour 17. Thanks for joining us, everyone. So 3 ways Tabnine is different. It's the AI coding assistant you control. So first of all, if you're using any of our protected models, it's all completely private. We don't store your data. We don't train our models on your data. All the personalization that we do on your model is private to your company. Finally, if you're deploying us on premise, it's completely protected. So you can deploy us air-gapped fully if you'd like. And of course, any of the code that's generated from the Tabnine protected model is all fully license compliant with a open source permissive license. So no worries about legal risks from anything that we're doing, or security risks for that matter. So thanks for joining us today. If you want to get a 90-day free trial of Tabnine Pro, just go ahead and head to the website. If you're interested in any of the more advanced capabilities like code-based connection, coaching, and model fine-tuning, or you have high security needs and you need to deploy on premise, go ahead and reach out to us with the contact us form, and we'll get you set up with an evaluation to try out Tabnine Enterprise at your team.
Yeah. I guess any last questions? You can always reach out to me on Twitter. So it's my first name, but with ITS. So it's Adrian. You can always reach out to @Tabnine on Twitter or on LinkedIn. And we will answer your questions, or it might be part of a future Tabnine Live.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yes, and as always, thanks for bearing with us during the demos. AI is very exciting, or generative AI is very exciting to show live, but it's very it makes me very anxious, because if you change just like little bits, you might get something completely different, which is both great and scary because sometimes you surprise yourself with some of the answers. But yeah.
Thanks, Arjun. Thanks, everyone. All right. If there's no more questions, we'll go ahead and close it out. This will be.
And we will see you in 2 weeks for the next Tabnine Live.
Tabnine Live with Coder.
TTFN, everyone. Ta-ta for now.